Hi guys, Big Ben is here. How's everybody doing? Hope you guys are doing great, Global and Hoffen. As promised in the last few videos, I said that I would come out with a depth guide or theory guide, and well, here you go. This is going to be it, pretty much. Mining depth is something that I really hate discussing, and I really don't like to talk about, because in my mining that I do in Entropia, I don't necessarily spend a lot of time going over numbers and taking a vast look at it. But it is a topic that is super hot. It always has been, and probably always will be. I get a ton of questions every week. And I really, honestly, I try to just shrug them away because it's not a topic I like to discuss. Personally, and here it is in straightforward matter. If you're using the F105 and the miners further down the road, you're pretty much gathering all the resources, or you're pretty much hitting that range that you necessarily need to be. For me, there's really not much discussion after that. But to bring it to light, there are some interesting theories out there. Theories on what finders to use in certain areas, theories on how the depth works, theories which I like to get involved in, which is the area time sine wave theories, and I'm really interested in that, and that's kind of what this whole depth video is going to encompass. So what we do know is, and a lot of this information, guys, we're going to take a look here, is from mininglog.com, or what you're probably more familiar with is Little Big Mining Log. A lot of miners use it. I don't personally use it, but I do look at the depth ranges on the front page. There's a lot of information there that can be helpful when you're first starting out, or even if you're a seasoned miner, if you're just looking to see what depth range you need to be to find certain ores and information. And also, of course, entropedia.info, which, is pretty much the Bible of Entropia, as far as economy and as a great resource too. So what we do know from Little Big Mining Log is that there are minimums on ores. Right here from my guide, I basically pulled this information out, and I didn't mean to click that. Get out of here, you son of a bitch. Oh, shit. Hold on. There we go. Okay. Basically, from my guide, we got the map here. Area 43, which you've seen me mine many, many times. It's pretty much encompasses the first, 20, 30 videos on my YouTube channel here. It's a place that I go back to frequently, and it's not necessarily a good place. It's a place that's kind of nostalgic for me. It does have some good resources. So we're going to take a look at the resources here. It has narc, zinc, cumbers, gas, dianium. We found long guts in it, and platinum. On the antimatter side, Technol Extreme, Laterian dust, Magarian mist or spray, whatever, azure pearls, and Solace beans. Okay, so I decided just to choose this area and break this area down because I'm very familiar with it. I know what's there, and yeah, I spent a lot of time there. So let's take a look at it. We do know that narc cannot be found under about 50 meters. Okay, it may be able to be found with a rookie finder, but the minimum amount of depth that Little Big Mine Log has mined narc at is 51 meters. So we can assume, and again, this is all pretty much theory-based, that narc cannot be found under 51 meters. Now, does that really make a difference? No, because say, for instance, the F101, which is pretty much the starter finder other than the rookie finders, or heck, even the Z1, let's say the Z1 because that's TT, the minimum depth on that, I think, is, or the maximum depth on that is 201 meters. So when you're maxed on that finder, you're probably going to find narc. There's a good chance that you're going to find narc with the F101 or the Z1. Will you find it all the time? No, not necessarily, and we'll get to that in a few minutes. With the rookie finder, will you find narc? You may. You may find it. But chances are, if you're not maxed on the Z1 or the F101, you're probably just going to end up finding lists or some sort of filler ore And when I say filler ores, it's pretty much listed oil at this point. Okay. For the rest of this video, we're going to basically talk about the F105 in the latter series of finders. You can go to Entropia.info and take a look at all the finders before that. But I like to talk about the F105, and I keep on referring about the F105 because the max depth is 522 meters. As we can see right here, this information is taken right from Entropia.info. So that depth, that max depth, is where you could find a lot of ores and end matters. Typically, most of them, until you get onto the more rare ores, such as redulite or this one was actually Rugaritz. Kind of destroyed that earlier in the video. Believe it or not, at 803. But so we're on Ola 43, Outback Land Area 43, and we're mining with the Z1. Now the Z1 is basically only going to find me Magerian Mist gas, basically the beginning half of the ores and end matters here. If we wanted to move on, say we're maxed on the F101, that allows us to find Azure Pearls. Chances are with the Z1 and the F101, we're really not going to find Dianium, Solus, Langus, Platinum. Chances are you'll never find Langus or Platinum. I can almost guarantee that with the Z1 or F101. The ranges, the max depth just does not allow it. However, there is some sort of flexibility in all finders where you're not going to just max out at the max depth. You're not going to max the F105 out at 522. You're probably going to find that it probably goes maybe over 100 meters more than that. I know, I've been using the VRX 2000 lately, and the max depth on that is 925. I can easily find stuff in the 1,000 range. Now, a common misconception about finder depth is that it'll only scan resources -200 or +200. And I have to say, just from years of experience, that's wrong. It's a belief that, okay, I'm only going to find ores in depth ranges 300 to 500 or, 500 to 700 on the F105. I gotta say, it's wrong. I found stuff with the VRX in the 700 range. I found stuff with the VRX in the 600 range. If I had to make a guess, it's a max of 300 to 400 meters within its max depth. And I want to say that's beforehand, okay? It's not necessary. It won't necessarily go over. I doubt very much I will find anything at 1,200 meters on the VRX 2000. I've never done it so far, but I have found stuff within 100 meters past its max depth. Okay, that's very important for our sheet 2 here. Alright guys, so going back to Ola 43, we could look at the Z5, the F102, F103, gives us access to Solus beans and the other ones. And, it's basically linear. The better the finder, the deeper the finder goes, the more you're obviously going to find, the more you gain access to as far as ores and end matters are concerned. Obviously, right, we're talking about mining. Anyway, I put redulite and Ruga here. Ruga, I know the minimum on Little Big Mining Log is 803. It says it right there. Will you find Ruga at 803? It's probably super rare that you would ever find it that deep anymore, really. You could find it with the TK320, but your best bet is to really go over 1,000 depth with Ruga. And redulite seems to be much easier to come by nowadays, especially with the use of level 13 amps, I think, use redulite. So about 982 depth is a pretty good depth for redulite, and you should find it not frequently, but a lot more frequently than Ruga, absolutely. And then you can find redulite at Chinook area. Okay, so that is that. So obviously, the deeper finders gives us access to a wider variety of ores and end matters. So your question is, do, like, say, ores such as List or Narc, do they get cut off at any point? Zinc, cumbers, dianium, probably. They probably do get cut off at a certain point, but I would assume that most of those ores and matters are pretty much prevalent all throughout one, or, whenever they spawn up into 1,000 meters. So that knowledge gained, you're probably thinking, well, deeper is better, right? Well, not necessarily. Let's take a look at the decay. The F105, obviously, the actually Z20. Yeah, well, the F105 is an unlimited amp, or unlimited finder, rather. Decays at 2.05 pek a drop. There's better finders in that area. Obviously, we could use the F212, and it decays at 1.34 pek a drop, provided that the markup for that L amp finder, I keep on wanting to say amp for some reason, is basically 110%. So you could minimize this by buying your F212s at a cheaper rate, other than 110% or whatever it is on Entropia.info. So you're thinking, let's go deeper, and I just want to point this out right now. There are vast differences here between, say, the TK120. 500 uses will decay 9 ped. Okay. Now the TK120 depth compared to the TK220 depth is 75 meters. That's it. The decay on the decay difference is basically double. On 500 uses, you're decaying almost 20 ped using a TK2020. For what reason? For an extra 75 depth. When you're at that deep a depth, at 700, 775, there's really not much difference in ores and matters that you're going to find. Theoretically, it's 75 depth. Even with the TK120, you're probably going to hit 800 meters. So I would say that the TK220 fails as a finder. I really would. Especially with markup being as high as it is for that finder. The decay is absolutely terrible. Obviously there's a little bit of a difference here in markup on these two finders, which ultimately affect the decay of these finders as far as your cost is concerned. So you really should be looking for a TK120 if you're going to mine in the 700, 800 range. Your next jump from there, you would probably go to maybe a TK320, but if you do have the skill, you should probably jump into VRX, because the VRX will give you an extra 75 depth for only 2 ped. Now again, it's speculative. It's based on the markup of the particular finder. But it's something that you guys should really pay attention to, especially if you are going to really do this and try to break even as a profit. It's something you should really break down yourself and try to figure out the decay using Entropia and compare it to other finders within that range when purchasing a finder. Because the decay differences are staggering at times, which is why recently I've been using VRX 2000. And mainly because I got it at a really good markup, and it's got deeper depth. It's kind of where I want to be. I find Redulite with it. I find platinum and line guts all the time. So that being said, let's take a sip of my Coke here, and we'll go on to sheet 2. This is actually 1,000 lines. Okay, column A. We're gonna look down here. Column A is a good area. And this area is basically OLA 43 broken down. One of the most popular theories out there right now is when you drop a probe, or you drop of a finder, that finder will hit a certain depth. Say I'm using the VRX 3000, as we can see in this column. Also, just to mention it right now, this is an average area, and this is an ugly. This is a bad area, okay? These little lines are claims. These are deposits of resources within that area when you drop it. This is where it may get a little confusing. I'm sure you guys can work through it. We have NARC here, Dianium, Gas, Langots, Plat, Zinc. We're only going to do ores for this example. And we have the deposits. So zinc is in purple, and we're going to take a look at the left-hand side here. Can't really highlight, it changes the color. But if we drop using the, what is this, F101 I got right there? The F101 here in C, we will potentially hit a claim within that area. So we could have a chance to hit zinc here or a NARC deposit earlier. The common thought is when you drop within an area, a random number generator will generate a number close to your finder's max depth, or within the range of that finder. So I drop, say I'm on hill, I'm using a VRX, and I drop, and it randomly hits 666. How convenient is that? Because, yeah, I use that number quite frequently in my videos, which you may or may not notice. But so random number generator lands on 666. No resource found. Nothing there. Random generator again. VRX 807. Nothing there. No resource found. Random generator, boom, again. 774. I hit a deposit of zinc. Another random number generator determines the size of that deposit. You guys getting this? So the F105, I'm in OLA 43. Boom. I drop a probe. 241. Well, it's a no resource found. Again, 259. Oh, I'd hit a deposit of zinc. Another random number generator generates a random number depending on the sine wave of that area. Okay. Now the sine wave of area 43. If you guys never seen a sine wave, imagine it. Imagine a wave. It goes up and down, up and down. When the wave is up, we have a good area to mine. There are frequent deposits. There are many deposits, as we can see. A good area here on the left-hand side. When the sine wave is maybe going down or it's heading up, it may be an average area. The sine wave may not even be much of a wave at all. It could just be a small little ripple. Very small, and it's basically hitting average. So, you know, we're using the F105, and maybe we'll get a claim here at depth 447. Maybe we'll hit 500. Maybe we'll hit a zinc or something. And then when the sine wave is ultimately down, we get into the ugly. We get into a bad zone to frequently mine. Now, when we get into the ugly zone, there's a lot of thoughts about this. There's thoughts that some of these deposits, some of these super rare deposits, as we can see here in NARC, if I hit it with the VRX at, say, 775 depth, there's a thought that maybe the sine wave in the algorithm determining the claim size is much higher than normal, thereby introducing more HOFs, more significant, get it? Deposit pun there. more significant claims, including random all-time highs, which could be built up for it and whatnot. So that's a theory on its own that could potentially happen. Does that happen all the time? No. Obviously, we do see sometimes some large HOFs when it's good, which kind of leads me to believe that a HOF sine wave is somewhat different of that than the average deposit sine wave. Basically overlapping, but not necessarily following each other. So if we have a sine wave, just take a look at my cursor, it's going up and down here. The good is on the top of the sine wave, the average is in the middle, the ugly is down here. And then we have another sine wave that could be crazy, crazy, super high, super low, super high, super low, depending on Hoff's, okay? Maybe I will cover that theory in another video, because I could probably go into that in a lot more detail. Okay, so let's wrap this up because we're getting on 20 minutes. Let me take another drink here. Still kind of getting over my cold that I've had for like a month and a half. It's ridiculous. The good. Obviously, it takes a lot of knowledge. It takes a lot of experience to determine whether an area is good or not. When you guys ask me, is this a good area to mine? And I'm just like, well, you know, determine on markup. If the area has good markup, you always kind of want to mine there. But, and I always say this, stop when it's bad. Okay? Don't take the chances of randomly hitting maybe a Hoff, because why take a chance to randomly hit a small percentage just to get a decent sized Hoff when you could be mining in a good area and do decent. Okay, and then obviously if the area is average, your markup should overcome your losses when it's, you know, a little less than average. Your average should be, okay, 80% of my run, I nailed a 25% markup of that area. It's not such a big loss. It's only maybe several ped or 10 or 20 ped. Something that's manageable in the long run when I know when it's good and I'm mining in that high markup area, that I can overcome my losses from mining when it's average, or if I don't recognize quickly enough that the area is completely ugly. So let's talk about the finders here briefly. The F101, 263, F105, 522, just to refresh your memories, in the VRX 925. VRX, obviously, we can encompass a lot more different ores, which quite theoretically give us a better chance of hitting something over that of the F105. If you can see with the F105, we're probably not going to hit plat. We're more than likely not going to hit lingots. And the F101, within Ola 43, we're only going to hit probably zinc and narc. You know, is that completely accurate? No. I mean, it's theoretical, but it's pretty damn close. You know, you could get the random chance of hitting a dianium or gas using the F101. You could hit platinum with an F105. In fact, I'm pretty sure I've done it. Also, which leads me to my final point for this video, and if you guys have a lot more questions, maybe we'll cover it in more videos, but I'm kind of going over 20 minutes here. So when you have a good area, most of the ores and antimatter will pretty much be available to you. When I'm mining Ola 43, I'm probably going to hit plats. Sometimes I'm going to hit langots, okay? When the area is average, I'm going to hit less plat. I may not hit langots at all. You know, I may not hit dianium when it's average. And when it's ugly, some of those minerals disappear altogether. Like, as we can see in the ugly here, we don't have gas. We don't have platinum. We don't have langots. We have minimal dianium. We have minimal narc and minimal zinc. So it's quite possibly that those ores will disappear altogether. In fact, we see this quite frequently now with the Chinook server. Gas will disappear altogether. It'll be replaced with list. It's replaced with something else. You know, langots, as rare as that ore is, or zeramite, or rugga, or redulite, when the areas are average, or when those areas are not hitting the top of their sine wave, you probably won't find them. Sometimes these ores and resources disappear for days, if not weeks. So, anyway, guys, stick with the good areas. Know when to stop. Try to get yourself in a comfortable finder. As I said in the beginning, the F105 is good. It's unlimited. You know your decay is going to be 2 pec. when you go into your further finders, your L's, check out the decay, check out your markup on those finders, because when you're dropping 500 bombs in a run, you're wasting, you're losing 23 ped. That's 23 ped you'll never get back. Okay, guys. Shoot a comment down below if you have any questions. It's all theory based. It really is. There's not too many facts about this entire depth and everything else. It's always a topic of contention and theories. So thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next vid.